Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to World of Warcraft. I'm here with Fallout Assassin, aka Tyler, and he's basically going to be teaching me how to play World of Warcraft and all the basics and everything. It's going to be a tutorial for me as it is for you. So say hello, Tyler.
Uh,
Alright, let's start us out. So what am I looking at right now?
well, once you've logged into World of Warcraft,
Done.
you don't want to pick a server. There's all these different servers. There's PvP, normal, role-playing. I never really understood role-playing, so I can't exactly explain that one myself. What the servers basically are is it's how you play with your friends, so there's also medium population, low population, high population, and full. Low population, you're not going to have as much lag, and they're basically all PvP servers because no one really likes PvP, because PvP is player versus player. And what that means is if I see, so there's two factions, there's Alliance and Horde, and let's say I'm an Alliance character and there's also Horde people on that server and we meet each other out in the middle of nowhere, we can try to fight, and that makes questing very hard because you can try to do something, and normally what they'll do is they'll come in and they'll kill the quest givers to stop you from doing quests just because they want to. So that's why PvP is more towards low. And normal gets rid of that PvP, so as you get higher and higher, you see more normal. I never understood role-playing. I think it's just another way of them saying normal, really. And then, so then there's the populations. Low, you're not going to have as much lag to connect to the server. Medium is pretty much the same, a little bit more. High, you're going to have a little bit tougher time. And full. Full, you have a queue. You have a wait time to get into the server. So if you get in, they're going to give you a number, and every time someone signs out, you're next in line to join. But there could be a bunch of people in front of you waiting to get in on that server. So for all you know, you could be the next one to get into the server, or you could be 120th and have to wait an hour just to play on the server. You never really know.
Yeah, so we found a server that is medium population and is PvP, so. And what is it called again? I think it's
Wildhammer.
Waterhammer or
Wildhammer.
oh, Wildhammer. Okay.
And the names don't really matter, they're just fancy names for the servers.
Yeah. So we're gonna make our characters and we're gonna go in there, we're gonna get our leveling up and stuff. So what should I be doing right now?
You should be looking at what. First off, there's a bunch of different stuff you have to put into thinking about whenever you make a character. The first thing you think about is, do I want to be Alliance or Horde? That's your first thing. I mean, you can have either. It doesn't really matter. I mean, I play both. I find Alliance much easier because they always win battlegrounds, which we'll get to later. But as you get to the higher levels, battlegrounds are everything. So as I said, we'll explain those later. But for right now, the first thing you want to do is Alliance or Horde. So Aaron, you want to be Alliance or Horde?
I do not care. What do you want to be?
We'll be Alliance then, because I've had my fair share of Horde. Now, the second thing is, most people will look at the race. Don't look at the race first. Look at what class you want to be, because if you notice, class is everything. Race is like extras. Like, for example, if you're going to be a warrior on Alliance, go human. Don't think about anything else, because humans get increased expertise with swords and maces, so they can do more damage with swords and maces. So that's really going to help you if you're a human and warrior, because you find swords and maces very, very often. And it's pretty much that with everything. Like, if you're going to be a caster, mage, warlock, priest, I recommend being a gnome because they get more mana. But it's also, you know, really just up to you. I mean, that's what I usually do. Or if like a friend wants me to play with them, I'll just make whatever I can, really. Doesn't really matter to me.
So what are you wanting to be? Are you wanting to be like range or like melee or what?
The first thing you have to think about is you have to think about these two things. You think about, do I want to be a healer, a tank, or a DPS? DPS, because as you start leveling, it gets tougher and tougher, but it's going to be easier if you do dungeons, and those get unlocked at level 15. And what they do is they put you in a group, and you have 3 DPS, a tank, and a healer.
Wait. What is DPS?
DPS is damage per second, which is another word of saying just they sit back and they attack stuff.
Yeah.
Well, tank does this thing called aggro. And what aggro does is, let's say a guy runs out and for some stupid reason the healer, who shouldn't be attacking anything, decides to run out in the middle of nowhere and starts getting attacked. It is the tank's job to make sure that he aggroes or keeps the attention of people.
So he's like the distractor.
Yes, and what they normally are is they usually have shields, that way they can take a lot of damage, so the healer can heal them.
Yep.
Let's see what else. Healers, those speak for themselves, and I've already explained tanks and DPS. So
yeah. So
then you think about. That's the first thing you think about. Then the next thing you think about is, do I want to be a caster, melee, or ranged? Now, there really is only one ranged, and that's a hunter, because they focus with bows and guns, and crossbows. But I guess you can also consider casters to be ranged, but they focus more with mana, and I don't really like mana, so I often make hunters, rogues, and warriors because I don't like dealing with mana.
yeah. So describe what the different classes do.
Okay. So first off, you have warriors. Warriors can be tanks and DPSs, and warriors are the ideal fighters of Azeroth, which is the World of Warcraft takes place in. And what they are is, well, for starters, any race in the game can beat them. Every single race, no matter what you pick, they can be a warrior. And that is the only class in the game that can be that. Some come close, but a lot of them are like, this one race can't be that. But so yeah, everything can be a warrior. Warriors wear heavy armor, so they wear mail, and once you hit level 40, they can start wearing plate, which is the best type of armor in the game. They have 3 fighting stances. They have arms, which is a balanced stance that lets them, it increases it to where they deal 5% more damage, and they can take 5% more damage. And you get that from level 1. You always have that. Personally, whenever I go warrior, that's the spec I go under, because it's also a very good PvP spec. Let me think what else. Because at level 10 you get talents, which is your spec. So the warrior also has a defensive stance, and the defensive stance makes sure that they can take 10% more damage, but they don't deal any more damage. Their damage stays the same. And this is really good because back then they would deal 10% more. They would take 10% more damage, but they would deal 10% less. So they edited that. And if you're going to be tanking, that is the protection spec. So you're going to want to do that. Then the third and final stance is Berserker stance. You don't take any more damage, but you deal 10% more damage. And the main reason people do that is because at level 69, and yes, when you get your big ability, which is at the bottom of your talent tree, for Fury Warriors, it lets them use 2 two-handeds, so they can have 1 two-handed in their left hand and 1 two-handed in their right hand, versus 1 two-handed or 2 one-handed.